the main areas I think that I have found most success in, and continue to repeat those processes over and over again. But before we go into kind of where we can find the deals and what type of deals to look for, I think it's really important to understand the mindset that's required to achieve the results, because we can talk strategy all day long, but if it's not actually put into play, then nothing's going to come of it. And you'll as we go through these calls over the the following weeks and months, you'll start to understand that I talk a lot about mindset, because I think if you get your mindset right, you can achieve anything that you want. And it's quite easy for people to teach a lot of strategy, but they don't actually touch on the mindset, and it doesn't go hand in hand, because then all you've got is a lot of strategy, but you've not actually built yourself up to do the work that's required. So if you haven't read it already, read Grant Cardone's book, The 10X Rule. So for me, this was a big game changer. I thought I was doing enough, and then I read this book, and I basically realized I wasn't. So I had to do a bit more. And but it was an eye-opener, because I think quite often we think we're doing enough, and we think, okay, well, I'm going to get there because I'm doing enough, but then we're not. And then we get frustrated by the lack of results and the lack of progress, but really it's just the fact that we're not doing enough and there's not enough activity going in. So that book was a real eye-opener to me. The core principles of it are basically whatever you think you need to do, times it by 10, and that's actually what you probably need to do. But there's a lot more to the book than that. But I would encourage you to read it, because it is a good book, and it was a good eye opener. And I guess also what we have to understand is as we go on this journey of deal finding, we are in a game where there's a lot of rejection. You are going to get told no a lot. You are going to get told your offer's not good enough a lot. And you have to learn to accept that, and emotionally accept it, and logically accept it as well, and kind of work on that mindset of, okay, I've got another no, that means I'm closer to my yes. Because the more no's you get, the closer you're going to get to your yes. It is a volume game, this, and it is nothing more than a numbers game. So some people's close ratios will be slightly better than others, but in the main, if you open enough conversations with enough people and put enough offers on the table, you will eventually get enough acceptances and ultimately enough deals into your portfolios for you to be able to cash flow from. So get used to it. The more you can get comfortable with being rejected, the better. And just know it is part of the process. Everybody's experiencing it, whether they are total newbies or absolute seasoned pros. You still get told no, and you still get told your offers aren't good enough, and you still have the negotiation battles that go on daily. So just make sure that you're prepared for that. If you haven't experienced that yet, don't let it intimidate you. Just it's part of the process. Okay, it's part of your training, it's part of your process. One thing to also have in your mind, and this is, I think, why I got a lot of deals quite quickly, is I firmly believe that the service that we offer a landlord, especially if we're going down the rent-to-rent route, is far greater than any tenant that they could ever have. And when you properly believe in your product and your value proposition, then you start to ooze confidence. And naturally, the person who you're speaking to on the other side of the coin, they start to feel it as well, and they start to buy into it. If you don't believe in your own product, you're going to always struggle to sell it. So we'll touch base on the sort of key areas. There's plenty of videos in Kajabi. My proven script is one of them. If you search proven script in Kajabi, it's about a 10-minute video that identifies the sort of magic 8, as I call it, the 8 key points. And I just hammer home on them all the time. I sit on both sides. So I am a landlord with tenants, and I also obviously short-term rental host who rents properties and runs short-terms as well. So I know how frustrating it is to have tenants that don't pay. I know how frustrating it is to have tenants that trash your properties. You name it. Like I've had it all with tenants. So I do less and less of the tenant gig now, and a lot more of the short-term rental stuff. And there's reasons for that, and that is because there's not enough money in it, and also I just seem to pick up bad tenants and can't be bothered with them in the main. So and there's plenty of landlords experiencing that. So you catch them at the right time when they've had a problem, they've experienced some voids, they've had a property trashed, whatever. Every single landlord that gets a property back from a tenant typically has turnover costs. Those turnover costs minimum are probably a lick of paint around the whole place, which if you haven't externally paid decorators these days, you're looking at probably anywhere from 1,500 quid to £2,000 for a 2-bed flat. So those turnover costs start to add up, whereas that's the kind of stuff that we keep on top of, so they never have those costs, as well as getting paid and all the other benefits that we bring to the table. So really firmly believe in your service before you even go out there prospecting for properties. And by doing that and connecting the two dots, you will get a lot more yeses than you will nos, because they'll buy into your passion. And I think it's really, really important to get that message across. So make sure you understand each and every one of the value propositions and learn them, and be able to repeat them, recite them in the shower, that sort of thing, and just get them in your head, so that when you're speaking to a landlord and you feel like you're getting some objections, then you can just bring one of them out, and just bring the other one out, and then just constantly go back over them. And I say quite often, if a landlord chooses a tenant over us, I would quite often say, listen, I feel like I've miscommunicated something here, because most landlords that we tell about our service, bite our hands off, because it's so good for them long term. It is so much more profitable for them. So let me just go back over what it is, and let's see where maybe you've miscommunicated or misheard me on something, because really there should be no reason why you want to choose a tenant over choosing us, and just going back in. So get them kind of in your head, understand them, believe them. Main thing, don't just believe them because I say they're good. Don't just believe them because you think you might like to hear them. Believe them because deep down that it is genuinely the best service that they can have, and I still firmly believe that as well. So in terms of I guess the core element of tonight is I really want to touch base on where you can actually find some deals. Now, there is no magic website, but there are lots of places that we go. And the main thing for me is opening conversations. So you'll hear me talk about this quite often. Opening conversations means sending a message on Facebook to somebody and getting a reply, sending a Rightmove email to somebody and getting a reply, ringing in a estate agent and having a conversation about a property. Basically, any conversation that starts and you also get a response, and you start to engage in talking about potentially acquiring a property, that is classed as a conversation. So for me, it's like, where can we go to start opening these conversations? Now, naturally, I have said this time and time again, which is kind of why I would start with this, but I built my business through Facebook. I just was on it all the time and just constantly searching for stuff. So there's two main places that you can go. One is just Facebook groups. I think Facebook groups are super powerful. So you've got many groups within locations now set up sort of for sale, whatever your location is, or for rent, whatever your location is. There's also, so they're very property specific ones. You've also got sort of generic buy-sell groups, Facebook buy-sell shop groups. You'll be surprised how many people put property stuff in there as well. And also we then have obviously your property networking type groups, which are specific for lease option deals or rent to rent deals or whatever, where a lot of deal sources are in there pitching deals. We don't ever want to buy deals off deal sources. I just don't think they stack in the main. I've never really come across a good deal from a deal sourcer. What you're on this program for is to understand how to source your own deals, and then build a team internally so that you're not having to pay deal sources. Deal sources, for me, is the lazy way of doing it, but it's also a very expensive way, and you don't end up with the result that you want because it takes far too long to get a payback. But Facebook groups, really, really, really powerful way to get in front of people. We also have Facebook Marketplace, which if you use certain filters, you can filter out the agents and try and get direct to landlords that are advertising on there. But there are a lot of agents now starting to kind of mask themselves as individuals. But they are, again, great sources for activity and just opening up those conversations. You know, every morning you could jump on Facebook, probably spend half an hour just pinging messages out based on things that you're finding all over the place. And then throughout your day, you can then, you know, deal with the responses. So even if you're, you know, going to work or out and about or whatever, you can deal with the messaging as they come in. Now, just so you understand how Facebook works, Facebook has a thing. It's a 21-point system on an algorithm. So it doesn't matter how many friends you've got, how many, you know, if you're in groups of 30, 40,000 people and you put a post up in the group, don't think that 30, 40,000 people are going to see that post. At the end of the day, Facebook is one of the richest companies in the world. They want people to be paying to see content. So these groups and even your profiles nowadays, you get about, if you're lucky, a 1% reach. So, you know, if you're in a group of, you know, whatever, 20,000 people, you'd be lucky if 200 people see your posts. So what you do is, when you want to go and contact somebody from a post, if you just send them a message, then it'll go straight into their message request folder if you're not connected with them as a friend. So 9 times out of 10, they'll not even see your message. So if you constantly do that, then you're probably going to not get many responses, and therefore you'll probably get a bit disheartened and think it doesn't work. What you need to do is you need to alert the person that you've sent them a message if you're not connected with them. And the easiest way to do this is like the actual post and comment on the post saying, I've sent you a direct message. So at least they'll then get a notification on Facebook that says, Ryan has commented on your post in XYZ group. So they'll click on that and go and see the post, and then they'll see, I've sent you a direct message. They then go into their message folders and try and find that message. And you've got more chances of them picking your message up. So that's kind of an absolute must. If you're connected with them already, I would still do it. I'd still do it as just getting the habit of doing it. And then you'll get it. The messaging system on Marketplace is a bit different. That goes straight into them because they've advertised it as sort of a product as such, and Facebook will send that message to them. But on the generic group stuff, you want to be telling them that you're going to send them a message. What you can also do in groups, which we do a lot of and they got very lot of success from, is put up a post, something like looking to rent a 3-bed house in whatever location. And you could even be a bit more specific, like landlords got anything ? And then just put like a comment below or something. Put it in a big purple sort of background. So when you're on Facebook and you're typing stuff out, there's a little button at the bottom and you can choose like different colored backgrounds, as long as you've only got so many words. If you have too many words, you'll lose the option, but you can get quite a lot of text in there. And then what you're basically doing is posting that in the group. Now, most people that see that might not think, oh, well, they're a whatever, rent deal company or whatever. They might just think, oh, they're a tenant just wanting a house. So landlords will then be like, oh, I've got a 3-bed in that location, or I've got this, that, and the other. And again, you're just getting in that conversation flow. So what you then do is you comment to tell them you're going to send them a direct message, and then you go into direct messaging. Now with your posts, there's a 21-point system with Facebook. So you get 1 point for a like, 2 points for a comment, and 3 points for a share. Every time you hit 21 points, Facebook will open that post up to more audience because it thinks it's a popular trending post, so it wants more people to see it. So that is why you want to try and have a bit of engagement on the post. So that's why you would like their comment or comment back on their comment, just to increase the engagement. Because once you've posted and then there's a load of comments, Facebook doesn't actually know whether you're commenting or it's somebody else commenting. It just sees it as engagement. So you want to try and get as much engagement on the post as you can, and then that post will start to get pushed out to more people, and then you'll get more comments and more people coming in saying, yeah, I've got that. And that's why, you know, if you follow me on my marketing, you'll start seeing a lot of commenting on posts and a lot of comments, and that's because the algorithm's working and it's a game that we play. So plenty of those type of posts in loads of different groups, asking for different types of things. You know, test your color backgrounds. I find purple works the best, but you can always test different ones, and just mix it up with what you're looking for, what you're calling out. The idea is to just find a landlord, get them into conversation, and you just never know where the conversation's going to go. So that is basically how I built my business in the main, and that's how I got so many direct to landlord deals over the line through Facebook, open conversations, and then obviously I'd take it into a phone call or I'd actually go and meet them at the property. So spend time on Facebook. If you are going to do that, make sure your Facebook profiles are, you know, professional, and, you know, they echo who you're about. Maybe, you know, get some nice banners on there, good profile picture, so that they're engaging and people will see, because that's the first thing they're going to see is your little bio and your profile. And then that's going to make them more than likely make a decision of, am I going to respond to this person or not? So make sure that your bios are friendly, they're engaging, tell exactly what you do, and then make sure you've got a good picture on there, and hopefully will then open a lot of doors. So for me, they're the two.
Just a question on that one. You know, when you talk about your Facebook profile, are you talking about the actual personal profile, or say a business page, or
personal
a bit of both, or always personal?
Yeah, business pages are a waste of time.
Okay.
You just don't get the connection requests. You don't build them up as quick. So you know, another thing that you want to be doing on Facebook as well is probably spending 15 minutes a day just becoming an influencer in certain groups. So pick out 2 or 3 groups that, you know, are related to what you're trying to find. So there might just be landlord groups in your area, or you know, if you're looking for lease options, there might be lease option groups or something like that. And just go in and just have a quick flick through some of the posts and just make some comments and some, you know, just basically become a person, become a name in that group, and just, you know, just comment and just like give a bit of advice or share your opinions or whatever. Try not to be too opinionated on Facebook. I don't think that comes across too well. I think, you know, just be quite level-headed with it. The idea is not really to share an opinion. It's just basically just put your name out in the groups that people constantly seeing your name, and then they might click on your profile, and then on your profile you've got a nice banner which says what your company does and who you are, and then they might want to then, you know, send you a message further. So pages, you can't. Many groups now don't allow pages to join them. So you have to be a profile to join a group. So I just use my profile. You know, pages just take a lot of time to build them, and I think they're more just like a website as opposed to an actual active profile.
Yeah. Okay.
So following on from Facebook, I think the next place is Gumtree. And whilst the volume isn't going to be massive on Gumtree, the people that are advertising on Gumtree are motivated as hell. So if they've got a property for sale on there, or they've got a property for rent on there, or quite often you'll find they've got both, then they are motivated to want to either get that rented or get it sold. So really good place for finding deals. Again, you've got to put the search in, put your criteria in. I think you can choose further down the bottom on the left, you can get rid of agents and just have like direct to landlords. But also place adverts in the property wanted section. So get some nice creatives done. You can either knock them up yourself on Canva, or you can pay someone on Fiverr to knock you up, you know, 4 or 5 different creatives, and just post them daily, like properties wanted, properties wanted, properties wanted. Because the same people that are going to be posting on Gumtree, because they're motivated, if they see an advert saying properties wanted, and they've got a property they really need to get rid of or really need to get rented, they'll more than likely apply on your advert as well. So you kind of want to tackle it from both fronts. For the first 6 months of my business, I put an advert on Gumtree every single day, because Gumtree has a feed that like goes down, so the new stuff always goes to the top. So every day it was just like new advert, and just kept rotating it through. So got loads of leads from it, got done plenty of deals from it, both buying properties, done lease options from it, and also renting a lot of properties as well. So it's a good line of business. All you're exchanging is your time. You very rarely exchange money on Gumtree to post ads or buy any leads or anything like that. So really good place to go find some deals. Next place that I kind of stumbled on was Open Rent. So in brief, Open Rent is a platform that allows landlords who don't want to use estate agents to be able to advertise on, and then they push the adverts out to Rightmove, Zoopla, and all those bigger platforms without the need to have big agency accounts. So anybody that's advertising on Open Rent, if you reply to an advert on Open Rent, or if you see on Rightmove that it's because they quite often have the logo, Open Rent logo, what that means, if you hit reply or you phone that number, you're going to speak direct to the landlord. And that's just, cutting all the middlemen out, straight to the landlord with your value proposition that you passionately believe in, and good objection handling skills, and then get on the viewings, get meeting them. So again, it got a lot of business now. I think the Open Rent gig is probably saturated, and a lot of people are using it because it is a direct to landlord communication tool. What I would say is just keep it very simple. So don't go all guns blazing telling them everything about your service and how great it is. That's not what you want to do. And this is the same on Facebook, it's the same anywhere. I literally just used to ask, is this available? Is this still available? Very, very simple. And that will more than likely open up a conversation with them. I actually didn't really mention anything until I got to the property, and I used to speak to them face to face, because I just felt like I could overcome a lot of objections much better face to face. And I feel like when I was in person talking to them, they can trust me a bit more, and they can see it's a genuine thing, and then you sort of ooze your confidence. And again, for me, I was passionate about the business and excited, and I just want to get that out so they can feel that as well. Whereas I think on the telephone, quite often it's just like you get a couple of lines to either prove yourself or not, and that's it, game over. And if you kind of overcome the objections on the phone, then you're probably going to blow the lead. So I was always just, is this still available? Went and I booked the viewing, and just trying to push for that viewing as much as I can. I would encourage you to do that as well at the beginning, because quite often it's not about going to view the property. It's about going to meet somebody and get a connection and build that network. There's sometimes I've been on viewings and the landlords turned around and said, I've got another 5 of these down the road. Do you want to go and have a look at them as well? And you're like, you just open up portfolio of landlords. And then when you start working with them, obviously your efforts are multiplied, because all you have to do is make one connection, make that work, and then they'll open the floodgates of properties to you. So, which is, a great feeling. So they're kind of the main 3 that I would use to get direct to landlords. And direct to landlord deals are always the best, because you can negotiate your terms. You can typically never pay deposits. You can get set up periods. You can, there's no agency commissions to worry about, and, or getting gazumped and things like that. So that for me is where I spent a lot of my time. When the pipeline was a bit dry, I would jump onto sort of Rightmove and Zoopla and just have a good search of, properties, and then just basically ring estate agents. I've seen this property on here. And then I always used to, go down the route of the, and I still do, to this day, is, we house contractors up and down the UK as and when they're traveling. And, that's what we do. We specialize in that as a company, and we need whatever X number of properties, or X number of beds, I used to say, as opposed to properties. So it'd be like, oh, we need 13 beds in the next week finding for this client, because that will be the majority of the people that stay with you. It will be contractors through the week that you want to target, because that's really where the money is in the majority of locations. So, it's not a million miles away from the truth. It's just you haven't got there yet. So, but you will. That is who will be staying with you. And again, in Kajabi, if you search quick wins, and there's a few templates there which you can actually build your email list from your estate agents, and then just send that email out every single week. And from that, you'll get agents emailing back with potential properties that are they know that landlords will let you rent out. And again, that is another way to just get some quick deals into the portfolio and start getting on the viewings. I think estate agents, good ones are good. The majority of them are frustrating, but there are some good ones out there. And if you can build the relationships with them, and they're not too greedy, because they'll probably more than likely still be getting paid off the landlords even when they tie the deals up with you, then you want to find those estate agents. You do that by ringing and making sure. I would try and get a call 3 to 5 agencies and just focus on them. Try not like deal with everybody. Just find 3 or 5, and typically I try and find your sort of one-man shops, as I call them. So a sort of agency owner works in the estate agency, might have a couple of staff, and he might have 100 or 200 properties in his portfolio. You don't want to be working with these big agencies who are just they've got offices all over the UK or all over your region, and they're just really focused on selling and buying and renting, and you don't really have any personal connection with them. It doesn't mean as much to them if they get a deal or don't get a deal. Whereas the little agencies, they need every single deal they can possibly get, because they've got to pay their overheads every month, and they don't make fortunes and stuff like that. So that's kind of who I would be trying to focus on if I was working with agents. With regards to agents, just make sure if you're taking on any leasehold properties in apartments or apartment blocks, that you have it from the agent written that they will be liable for any sort of costs if the contract gets terminated early because they're not allowed to use the building. Because I've seen it time and time again where people have been told that they can use that they can do service accommodation, and then they're in there a month, they've spent loads of money on getting them furnished, quite often they've painted feature walls and things like that, and a month down the line they get an email off the landlord or a message off the landlord saying, why are you running short-term rental in my property? It's against the management company's rules, I need you out. So and then you go back to the estate agents and they just wash their hands of it. So you always want to make sure you're protecting yourself on that front. And with the leasehold blocks, I've seen it time and time again. So just look after yourselves on that front. With regards to, so that's kind of really in the main where you will go and find your deals. You can run marketing campaigns. I think in the main, I would focus on, in terms of marketing, I'd focus on just documenting your journey and trying to tell as many people as possible what you're doing. And from that, you'll naturally pick up some deals or some referrals of, oh, do you know so-and-so that, goes to the pub, he's got loads of properties, or do you know so-and-so, or, auntie, uncle's got this that they can't get rented out. And by documenting your journey, people will naturally come to you. But at this stage, I wouldn't be, contemplating spending money on Facebook ads to generate leads or anything like that. I think, to get your first handful of properties on the books, they're all in Facebook. You'll be able to find them in Facebook if you just do enough research and enough activity hunting around and opening up enough conversations, and or ringing enough estate agents, ringing enough Gumtree ads, and just constantly picking that phone number up, just smile and dial, as they say, just, get the numbers punched in and just ring and, operate a bit like a call center. So Facebook groups, marketplace, call your Facebook avatars out, and then look at the other websites as well, just to top up your sales funnel. At the start, I mean, any business really, but definitely at the start of your businesses, I would say 70 to 90% of your time should be spent on finding deals or sales, but for us, that's finding deals. So, and then probably the other 10 to 15 is on marketing. But at the beginning, it's just acquisitions. All you need to focus on, don't worry about fancy logos or nice looking websites or anything like that. Just find properties, get properties set up. Let's get them cash flowing, and from that, we can then start using that money to build a bigger brand out, build a better brand out. But right now, we just need to find properties and get them put into the operation, and then get it systemized, find your flow with it, and then just find more properties and just plug them in. Because unfortunately in this game, without property, we've got no product, we've got no means of cash flow. So we have to get that first point over the line. In terms of the deals that we'd look for, I think on a rent-to-rent basis, I mean, I did take on stuff in the beginning which needed a lot of refurbs. I know I spent $8,000 on somebody else's property, which, although I've still got the property and it does do very well for us, would I do that again knowing what I know now? Probably not. But at the time, you get very much like, I just want deals. I'll take anything on. But all those properties are probably biting me a bit now because they're very tired. They need more work. The reviews on them sometimes aren't the best, and it kind of hurts the rest of the portfolio. So if I was having my time again, I would probably try and only take on properties that had just been fully modernized. Ideally newer buildings as opposed to older buildings. It's not always possible because there's plenty of old terraced houses or old Tyneside flats like we've got in the northeast, where they're great properties for what we do, and they can be turned into something quite nice. But you want to make sure that the landlord's just done that ideally before you then take it on, has modern kitchens, modern bathrooms. So, you're not having to constantly be fixing those or getting bad reviews because, they don't, meet the standards that we need to be in. So I would definitely be looking at that. I'd always be looking at, ideally properties that have got carpets throughout, so it gives a nice homely feel. I think at the end of the day, we are trying to create a home away from home here, especially for the midweeks, the contractors traveling. And, the more that you do of that, the more appealing you become to a lot more people, and the better your reviews are, because they feel like they can just walk in. It's a nice sort of vibe. I think, I know I had a few properties where they were kind of old student HMOs with the old wooden floor because the landlords didn't want to spend on carpet every few years and trying to just maximize their profit. But it was the same feedback every single time, a very cold feel, not a very homely feel. And then the minute we invested and put carpet throughout the property, the game just changed again. So it's just little things like that you want to be watching out for. And but I really wouldn't, unless it's an incredible deal, I really wouldn't. Like I used to do a lot of refurbs in exchange for rent-free periods. Now I'm just a case of, we've actually just taken one on this week where the landlord, we just basically said it needs to be this, and this. I need a new kitchen, I need that, and then like that. And if you want to work with us, that's what we've got to have. And in all fairness to me, went away and did it, and then he's given us the keys this week, so it's all finished. So don't be afraid to get them to do it as opposed to you going, oh, I'll do it, because the amount of money I invested and plus the time and effort, as opposed to just getting them to do it and then handing the keys. And if they don't want to do it, that's fine. Just move on, find a different property. And but in the main, try and stick to as modern as modern as you can and as fresh as you can, and they will serve you a lot better in the medium to long term than just kind of the short-term wins that you'll get from them. On the BRR strategy, so if you're looking to buy some stuff, then it's probably the other way. You want to try and find stuff that is a bit knackered and a bit, I sort of call it, look like my granny's house when I was a kid, sort of green carpets and brown walls and brown kitchens and, you know, really dated sort of bathrooms. That's the type of stuff where you can really get in and without spending fortunes, you can modernize them and you will get the uplift off the valuers and be able to pull out a lot of your money. That's how I pretty much built my asset portfolio for the first year. Was, you know, I had one pot of money that I'd built up, and I just bought one, recycled the money back through, bought another one, recycled it back through, and just kept doing that. And then obviously I was adding to the asset growth with the cash flow from the rent to rent. So then I could now do 2 of those at the same time, and then 3 of those at the same time, and so on and so forth. So, but always look for stuff you can add value to when you are wanting to invest. So your money doesn't get stuck, because cash flow is king. Like, and you hear that all the time and you just think, oh yeah, it's just a saying. But like, net wealth actually means absolutely jack shit, because like, what is net wealth? It doesn't matter. Like, you know, you can't spend it. You know, unless you liquidate it, you can't spend it. So it's like, it's as good as a pension that you cannot touch, you know. So net wealth means very little in this world. Cash flow is everything. So you want to be creating as much cash flow as you possibly can, because cash flow breeds more cash flow. And yeah, you might have a spin-off effect of, you know, a nice equity portfolio that's built up, and every now and then you might be able to base a bit of lending from it, but that's pretty much all you can use it for. You know, you cannot take your net portfolio to Asda and go and buy some groceries with it, you know, but you can take your cash flow. So, you know, the equity side of things for me is just something that I don't even think about. You know, it's just there. That's not why I buy properties or rent properties. I buy or rent properties to give me more cash flow into the business every single month. And then from that cash flow, I'll invest it to get more, and then continue to just keep doing that and building it and building it. So, so really focus on what you're trying to buy and, or what you're trying to rent, and making sure that, you want the minimum downtime for yourself. So you basically just want to get the keys, move your furniture in, stick it up online, and start getting bookings in. You really don't want to be bothering yourself doing too much running around. And then, you know, where you find them, you know, just because if you're running around trying to do all the DIY, you're not spending time on Facebook, on OpenRent, on Gumtree, and that's where your most important the tasks need to be every single day, probably for the next 6 to 12 months, is just prospecting, just out there actively searching for properties, getting on viewings. You know, I was going on, just to give you an idea, I was going on about 25 viewings a week. After I'd read the 10X book, I was about 5 properties a week before that. And, you know, but once I started to do that and I committed to that, things just changed massively. And it was like, you know, every single week I was just taking on more and more properties, which, you know, ultimately then just caused a few other problems. But we'll get to the operational problems further down the line. But right now we just want to get stuck into kind of deal source and you know, finding as many deals as we possibly can. So that's kind of in the main where you need to go. I kind of open up for questions now on anything. If anyone wants any more clarification on anything, please just unmute yourselves and fire away. But yeah, opening conversations and really sort of using the tools that we've got that are free. You know, all these channels are free. You don't have to pay to advertise. You can get in touch with people for free, and that's the main thing when you're building your businesses out.
The proven script, I actually had a look at that a couple of days ago. So I did go through all the training, but I skipped a little bit just to go to that side of it.
Yeah.
And that was phenomenal. Really, really great. and can I say, you know, I've probably needed that kick in the backside because I've just closed a deal today. I actually did go and see a HMO, even though I'm not interested in doing a HMO, but I said, no, I'll come and have a look. And I'm glad I did because I actually met an investor that I ended up knowing. So that's got more properties. So yeah, no, thank you for that. I think I needed
HMOs. HMOs are actually really good for service accommodation. So we have, there's a lot of areas in towns now where students used to live on the fringes of towns in these sort of HMOs, whereas now a lot of these big developers are building these sort of all singing, all dancing high-rise apartment blocks in the cities, which the students have all moved to. So it's left the landlords that have had probably 15, 20 years worth of HMO revenue from these properties, and they're not really sure what to do with them. So I picked a lot of these up and still do, to be fair. But definitely sort of 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, picked up a lot of these style properties, 4 or 5 bedroom HMOs on the fringes of cities. And all I did was turn them into SAs, and you got a lot of contractor bookings, because the contractors, they want economies of scale. So if they can get 8 to 10 people in a property rather than have 8 to 10 hotel rooms, the companies are like laughing all the way at the bank. So they just bang them in there. So with your HMOs, if they are in decent condition in all right areas, then I would consider taking those on and just changing the strategy.
Yeah, maybe. But he has got a few other properties, so yeah, I'm glad I've done a few viewings already, and I've closed one, and I've given an offer on the other one as well. So just waiting to hear.
With never ever come away from a viewing and don't offer on it. So even if it's a property that's going to be no good for you, like say the condition's not very nice, you could still make an offer. You say, listen, I'll give you £1,000 a month, but I need that, and that doing.
Yeah.
But always offer, because you just never know. I mean, I even like, especially when you're buying stuff as well. I remember I saw a property, and I think it was up for like 90 grand. I think I offered something like 45 because I just did not want it. And then I was away skiing, and I get a phone call. It's like, oh, so and so, so and so has accepted your offer. And I was like, on what? And then I couldn't even remember the property because I just wasn't interested in it. But like, I basically got it half price because no one else obviously wanted it, and I was probably the only one that put an offer in. So always put offers in. Also, when you put offers in, especially when you work with estate agents or even landlords to an extent, is they've always got on that sort of, especially on estate agents, they've got on the system that so-and-so made an offer. So if a deal ever falls through, and we get this quite a bit, then they go back to the system and they go, oh, well, Ryan made an offer, let's ring Ryan. And they're like, oh, would you like to go ahead because this has fallen through? And then it's more powers in your hands. You say, well, yeah, but I've actually spent a bit of cash since we last spoke, so I can only now offer this, and you go a bit lower, and you always pick up good deals. So there's many reasons why you should offer on everything, but just try and get in that habit of analysing deals and offering straight away, same day, because then they know you're keen as well. Don't take forever to put your numbers together and then decide what you want to offer. Just do it that day, literally as soon as you come back from the viewing. Cool. Any more questions, Giles or Rick?
Yeah, I've got AD, mate. Okay, I've got a few questions on SA. Mm-hmm. I've obviously I've got the BRs going through at the moment, just refinancing now. I had a broker on the line. Which, do we go with a lender that allows service accommodation, or do we just go with a normal buy-to-let lender? I don't know what the actual process and the policies are behind that.
Yeah, I mean, technically you need a SA-friendly lender. I tend to use, we've been using Kent Reliance quite a bit at the minute, and using they've got like it's a corporate HMO style product that allows corporate tenancies.
Okay.
So that kind of fits for what we do with the contractors.
Okay.
this is where you kind of need like a really good broker in your back pocket if you want to do SAs. And I mean, don't get me wrong, I've got some buy-to-lets which are just on buy-to-let mortgages, but it's because I started them off as a buy-to-let, and then I decided to switch the SA strategy. And it's like, well, I'm not gonna pay all the redemption penalties to switch it on to an SA mortgage, and then it doesn't work out, and then I've got to switch it back. So I've just kind of left them, and when they finish, when they're at their fixed rate, then I'll switch them on to the right product. So I think, I mean, you should always do the right thing, right? But you know, there's commercial sense, and there's sort of like doing the right moral sense, I guess. But for me, it's like commercial sense, and at the end of the day, I'm paying my mortgage, I'm paying my bills, and I will put it on the right product when the time's right. If you are buying now and you're refinancing, and you've got the chance to put it on a product, then put it on the right product if you're definitely going to do SA for the long term. You know, so the market's limited with SA specific products, and they want to see a lot more stuff, trading history, things like that. But there are lenders out there, and you will get it through. And you know, there's just different ways of spinning it, I guess. But we've been using Kent quite a bit recently because their corporate product seems to fit quite nicely with what we do.
Okay, that's fine. And also, regards to obviously setting up a company, obviously we've got the buy-to-let companies already where the properties are sitting with. For SA, do we set up a separate company? Do we need to be VAT registered? What SIC codes do I need to set up, or do we just run it through? I tried to find something on the actual portal that you've put. I couldn't see anything, so I just wanted to know, how do I?
Yeah, I think business setups, it's unique for everybody, because with serviced accommodation, you don't actually fall into the Section 24 tax sequence. So you could technically say, depending on your personal circumstances, you know, especially with corporation tax going up next year, does it make more sense to actually just keep them in your own personal name, and then, you know, you're not having to pay the Section 24, or you're not falling under that because it's trading income and not investment income. I mean, I personally have everything in limited companies. So the way I run it is, I've got my investment portfolio in one company, and then I've got effectively a lettings agency. So I've got like a trading business. So all the income for the SAs goes into the trading business, and then they pay the investment business for their profit of obviously using those properties. So that's one way to do it, and that means you can actually then hold your rent to rents and stuff in that same trading business. Whereas if you have rent to rents in your investment business, eventually lenders will start to say they don't like it. They want you to separate it out. So always keep your investments separate from your trading income. But you can also, like I do, I kind of have like my own management company as such for my investment business, and then it just sort of looks after it and pays the money over, so it keeps the lenders happy that there's money coming into that bank account. So I would personally probably set up something like that. And then what you can do, when you're scaling it and you're getting confident, you can create a group structure above it all, so you can pass over the capital allowances. I'm looking
at doing that now as well, just to set it up properly from the start. Okay, so separate company. Okay. That's fine.
I connect you with my accountant because he specializes in my stuff. If you want to like work with somebody that has done it for me and knows what they're doing in this sort of field, then I'm more to connect you up.
That's fine. Okay, I'll have a look at that. That's fine. I got offered a property around the corner from an agent that's a friend. I put an offer in. Offer got accepted for a BRR deal. I mentioned to him I'm looking at going into service accommodation. He said, actually, I've got an apartment in Birmingham that's going to be coming up for rent end of February. He goes, he works with a rent guarantee company in Birmingham. So he goes, I normally pass the leads over to them, but if you're interested in obviously looking at it, I'll give you the deal. 2-bedroom apartment. They're looking for like about £900 a month, but I haven't done any DD on that going forward and what I need to do. So I'm just going through the details on the link just to work out, is it a deal? Do we pursue it? Do we leave it?
Yeah. So I think in terms of probably next week we'll actually do a session on deal analysis, or maybe the week after. I'm trying to make sure that we're feeding this whole deal finder month. But in the meantime, if you go into Kajabi, there is if you type in the search box at the top, if you type in Airbnb, I know there's definitely one video titled "How to Analyze an Airbnb Deal," and there's actually a couple of other videos there of me demonstrating that as well. And then if you also type in like deal analysis, then again that'll bring up some videos there on how to analyze the deals. But in the main, it's very simple. Just basically have a look what's going on Airbnb within that postcode. Have a look at the rates. And then have a look what hotels are kicking around as well. They're always good signs of things working out. So we've got stock in Birmingham. Birmingham does work, in the main for, again, contractors and your sort of weekend stays as well. So, as long as the money's right and the rent's right and the average rate's okay, then you should be all right. But yeah, if you go through that, as always, if you've got any follow-up questions in between the sessions, just bang them on the threads in the Facebook group and we'll get them answered for you, so that you can keep moving forward in between the live sessions.
Okay, that's fine. All right, bro. Thank you.
I actually spoke to David, because we're in the process of setting up our company structure now, and I actually spoke to, I think you put a link on there for David, your accountant. Yeah, so I actually spoke to him, and I think we'll probably go with quite a similar structure. So for us, we don't really have any kind of physical or legal presence. So that's what we're currently doing at the moment. But I think there was something that you mentioned as well. Don't focus too much on the website and the logos, etc., and just focus more on getting the deals. Question, I guess, would be, so I know you mentioned, say, fully furnished, no, not fully furnished, but modernized properties. But if you could go for, say, your ideal property, I mean, is there a benefit from, say, going for a 2 or 3 bedroom over a 1 bedroom? Because of, you got to think about the.
Not really. I mean, I get asked this all the time, and I think they all work in, because you'll pay a lot more rent for a 5-bed than you would a 1-bed.
That's what I was thinking.
Quite often the 1-bed can be just as profitable as the 5-bed, if not more sometimes. It just depends on many factors, but location, long-term bookings that you might be able to secure. Typically, the larger the properties you'll get, you get 2 things with. You get bigger contractor bookings through the week, but you get more damage on a weekend. So you're like, sometimes your revenue that you're bringing in, sometimes you spend a bit more on maintenance to keep them up to scratch. So and it doesn't matter how you want to think about this game, you are going to get properties damaged, you are going to get disrespectful guests, and you are going to get very frustrated. But at the same time, it's remove the emotions again, and it's part of the business. 80-20 rule. 80% of guests are going to be fine, 20% are going to be a nightmare, but at the end of the day you still make money. And as long as you've got yourself protected by taking the credit card details before they stay, etc. We had 5 this weekend. We had 5 party houses this weekend, which is a lot more than we've had in a long time. And pretty much all they've done all weekend is just cost up what the cost of putting them together is, and then this morning they've just waxed all the credit cards with the amounts, and thankfully they've all gone through, because sometimes they don't have enough balance on the cards, but these have. But at the same time, I've still got processes in place. Even if that doesn't happen and we don't get the money, we then give them 7 days to pay the invoice, and if not, we then take them to court, and then typically they start to cough up. So it's not really about the money. It's more the hassle of having to turn the properties around and get them ready for the next. Like we've had to close a couple because you can't rent them out, you know. So we've had to move some people around and what have you. So whereas in the kind of 1-bed flats and 2-beds, you don't really get that. You know, you don't get as much. So so there's no right and wrong. I mean, I'd have a lot of them all if I could. I think 2-bed flats are a good size. Tend to take a lot of boxes. You can sleep 6 people in them typically. I do like my sort of 4, 5, 6-bed houses because the contractors do tend to stay in them and they tend to come back a lot, you know. So if you can get a good contractor booking that are in the area for quite some time with a good squad of you know, employees, then you will get that repeat booking over. And I know one of our properties we had we kept getting issues with the weekends, and I worked out if we just had the contractors Monday to Thursday, then that still makes us a decent amount of profit every single month. So I just shut the weekends off, and sure, because each weekend we were like running around trying to get it ready for them coming back because we'd had a party in and so on and so forth. But that was kind of coming out of lockdown, and the parties were horrendous back then because the kids couldn't get in the pubs and stuff. So that's all the way in our houses. So it's not as bad now, to be fair.
I think that's what I was trying to focus a little bit more instead, because there's a lot out there, not necessarily deals which are available to us, but there's a lot of deals out there. But instead of just looking for anything which kind of appeals, I was trying to kind of focus for either 1-bedroom or 2-bedroom or maximum say 3 instead of going for like 4, 5, 6, because exactly as you say, I thought it might.
Yeah, I think I always just think like deal finding's a hard game, right? And you know, you might as well try and have your doors open to as much as you possibly can. Where this is why I think SA is better than HMOs, because HMOs, you've got to have pretty much a 4, 5 or 6-bed house. Now, if you look on the average street, there's not that many 4, 5 and 6-bed houses. So SAs, you can do everything from a room in a hotel or a house all the way up to like whatever, you know. So you've got so much more stock to go at. And that's why typically SA businesses make more money than a HMO business, because for you'll be lucky if you take on a HMO once a quarter if you were doing rent to rent, because the stock's just not there and the competition for that stock's quite high. Whereas with SA, you've got the pick of every single property that's on Rightmove. So I would probably not really I just went out there and just, if I found an inquiry or a conversation, someone advertising a property for rent, I was like, right, I'm in, or a property for sale, I'm in. You know, I wasn't really thinking about, does it fit the perfect match? Because ultimately, you know, you're all probably similar minded to me, where you don't just want a couple, you want a portfolio full of them. So ultimately, you're going to want to diversify your portfolio so that you can appeal to the big contractor bookings, you can appeal to the romantics wanting to go away for a weekend, you know. So you've got all the different styles of properties and different sizes and makeups, that when you're getting bookings, because now people will just ring in and say, I need X, Y, and Z, what have you got? So we then jump on like, oh, we've got this, we've got that, that'll match, you know. And that helps as well and helps drive the revenue.
Yeah, I mean, I also looked at that sales script and I thought, you know, great sales script, but then I thought, if somebody does come to me and say, oh, I know we've got 72 rooms, actually you wouldn't know what to do. I think I actually haven't got 72 rooms for you.
Well, the thing is though, you always have got 72 rooms, because, you know, in this property game, you can always pass bookings on to other people and connect the dots. And you can actually take fees for doing that as well, you know. So you can, there's, you know, because there will be enough rooms. Like we constantly get, you know, hosts that have got maybe 1 or 2 properties, same sort of situation. They then get a bigger deal and they reach out to us and they're like, can you help support some of the deal? And we're like, yeah, no problem. You know, and we give them a kickback. So, you know, you can play on that, you know, to get what you need.
Right, excellent, thanks.
Cool. Okay, so the homework assignment that I kind of want to set is for this week is to open 100 conversations between now and next week. So, you know, if you break it down daily, it's like what, 14 a day or something like that. If you know, all 7 days. So just, you know, have a ruthless commitment to opening those conversations. I guarantee if you commit to it and you do 100 before next week, you'll have a good amount of deals in your pipeline that'll be ready to drop, and you may even secure a deal in itself, because it is just a volume game. This, you know, open conversations, get on viewings, make offers, get deals, repeat the process. It just, I should maybe get a t-shirt that says that, you know, like that eat, sleep, repeat type thing, just sort of same thing, because it's very much just a process, and then you just go again and again and again. And then obviously you get people in your team to actually then help you do that as well. And then you multiply and multiply. So 100 conversations. Next week, we'll discuss how it's gone, where you're finding success, where you're not finding success. So try and just make some notes as you're going along. You know, I've spent X amount of hours on Facebook doing this, I spent X amount of hours ringing agents doing that, you know, and this went well, that went well. Just do a bit of a synopsis each day, and then you'll start to figure out what's working for you, what's not working for you, and kind of where to spend most of your energy. Make sense?
Yeah, perfect.
Thanks.
Awesome. Cool. All right. Well, have a good week. And obviously, if you need us, just pop all the questions in the Facebook group, and we'll see you next week.
All right, cheers.
Cheers. Thanks.
Bye.